What's good, y'all? My name is Darius, or Zen or Darius, whichever you prefer. And this time I'm going to try something a bit different from normal than what I would do. And that's just a regular chat, just to let you guys know, what's been going on in my life, a bunch of different stuff that happened, how my content creation journey is going. Basically, just bunch of updates and a bunch of stuff that I want to get off my chest for a bit. But as usual, if you guys do enjoy what I do, you can like, subscribe, and hit the bell at the in the description. Since I pretty much frequent, you know, uh, Twitter on a regular basis, and I'm trying to build up my Gilded, server a bit more, just to help, just as a, just as something outside of streaming and stuff, which is pretty much the best way to, approach my, the best way to reach me. But anyway, I know there's a bunch of stuff that happened to me all during the course of, well, a lot has happened these past, about 2.5 months or so, almost three, and a lot of stuff made me made me quite aware of what's going on around me and what's happening because a lot of stuff happened. But I should probably get this off my chest right now, as I just wanted to, get it over with. But quite recently, I lost a couple of family members of mine. My uncle, one of my uncle passed away mid to late last year, around in September, pretty much the tail end of September, and just recently my family, lost my aunt uh, just a short couple weeks ago. But in reality, all I want to say is that since a lot of stuff has happened, a lot of things made me, think about a bunch of stuff with my family, how much I love them, how much I want to, help them as best as I can. And losing two family members, not even 6 months apart, is kind of, devastating. But I do try to look at it from a certain point that we don't really have as much time as a lot of people may think. And I really thought that my uncle would, get better, but as time went on, it felt more like there's a lot of stuff that should happen or a lot of stuff that needed to happen. So it made it much easier for me to understand that even though some stuff has happened, I learned to I learned to come to terms with that my family may not be here, for much longer than I may think, but overall, I just want to help my family as best as I can. And with the recent passing of my aunt, because we had her funeral on this past Friday, well, last week Friday, it made me realize that even though the family may not be here anymore, they'll always be a part of me. And I know every time I lose a family member, it always felt like a piece of myself is always ripped out of me. It's kind of difficult to explain, but I try to look at it in a more realistic manner, so it's much easier for me to understand. It's much easier for me to see that we need to love and respect each other regardless of what the circumstances are. And it's a lot easier for us to understand that some things may not be, life may not be fair for us, but again, life wouldn't put more on us than what we can normally bear. But other than that, I have been taking things in stride. I begin to help my family a bit more. And in a particular case, I just want people to understand that, I tend to take things more slowly, more methodical. So it's a lot easier to see things in a much broader spectrum than just believing that, this person isn't with us anymore. Things aren't going to be the same. And it's true, things aren't going to be the same. But the best thing we can do is adapt to what happened and what we can do better and what we can do to make things much better for ourselves. But other than that, that was although my aunt and my uncle were pretty much like a piece of myself, I learned that at some point they may want us to continue. They don't want us to worry about them. They don't want us to, spend every waking day crying, thinking about what happened if I would have did this or what happened if we would have caught this much sooner. It just happened. Because originally my aunt was supposed to come home, last week because of what happened, and I'm not going to go into details about that as I just want that to just stay with the family and everything. But the bottom line is, make sure you check in on your family. Make sure you get regular checks on your health, because you don't want to have something unfortunate happen and then you regret not doing what you need to do. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the whole thing that's going on in my family. But on other notes, I have been doing various other videos. I think one came out today for one did come out today. It was for my cougar lich and sister hunts that I've been doing. I have been recording some other videos, and I have been editing them. I mean, I had a little bit of trouble editing them because they was so long, and I tried to cut them down as much as I can. So I tried to. What I was thinking about doing was not only cutting down a video, but making sure people see the actual confrontation with either the Kuva Lich or the sisters in Warframe, as stuff like that. It always comes down to RNG when it comes to hunting Kuva Liches and sisters, because not every single one is the exact same, and not everyone has the exact same verse as the other liches and sisters are. Meaning that times usually fluctuate between maybe more than an hour, hour and a half or so, maybe a half hour, 40 minutes. I think the shortest one I did was about the shortest video I did for the Kuva Lich and Sister Hunt was about, I think it was about 40 minutes, maybe less. Well, that's the total recorded time of it. But if I edit it down, it's definitely going to be somewhere around maybe 35 minutes. Close. It'll be around, on average, 35 minutes. But again, like I said, doing that kind of stuff for the videos and everything does it gives me something to actually focus on, and it helps me understand what type of videos I can bring out, what type of content I want to bring forward. It's supposed to be a sort of companion video to my Kuva Lich guide on how to start a Kuva Lich or a sister, and the process step by step how to take them down. And in general, it's supposed to be more of an instruction guide. Well, kind of similar to my Warframe, kind of similar to my 20-minute survival guides on Warframe. And it's supposed to be more or less a primer on how to take them down as such. It's not skill-based. It's more or less a learning experience to let you know that every sister or Kuva Lich you fight isn't going to play the exact same, such as one could be weak to radiation, another one could be weak to heat, but they may be resistant to gas or slash, stuff like that. And you fight another one, instead of them being weak against heat and resistant to slash and other stuff, they may have a weakness to magnetic or cold, stuff like that. But when I try to do the guides, I do the guides based on exactly what should be focused on and how to go about it. I know in some guides, I know in some videos, because since one was released today, another one's being released on Friday. In some cases, I may use different frames. I may use different loadouts. I do change loadouts on a regular basis. Well, sometimes, depending on what the weaknesses and what the strengths of said sister or anything like that is. That way, I'm matching what I do want to focus on and what I do need to fight them, well, how to beat them, so to speak. But another thing I recently done was I did do two more Warframes, which is both released, which is Varuna, which is the Wolf frame, and Citrine, which is the Warframe of Crystal. I did both of them, and they're uploaded right now. But and I really do need to say this because I don't think people is really reading any descriptions at all. They immediately comment, but I'm not really too worried about it. But one thing people should be doing before they comment on any video, especially mine, is to read the video description first. All my 20-minute survival guides are not skill based. If people were to take the time to watch I would say a 2 minute, 2.5 minute, recap video of the introduction and the Q&A, people would completely understand why I do certain things that I do, because I know it does take time. If you can watch a 2 minute video or something like that, or if you can watch an ad on TV or anything, or a commercial, then it takes zero time to figure out what I'm trying to achieve. But from my Warframe guides, what I want to achieve from my 20-minute survival guides and my tutorial guides is I just want to help people understand more about the Warframes, as the 20-minute survival guide isn't just oh, you need to watch this video to understand this video, and so on and so forth. No, it doesn't work like that. My guides are more meant to be instructive, for that if you don't know what you're doing wrong or what you need to focus on, you can go to that guide. Like for example, if you want to find out how Mag plays or her playstyle, you can just watch the Mag 20-minute survival, and you can check her abilities and certain things, which I do need to update. I do need to update the description for that, because they did change her They did change her a bit, but they made it more so that she's more seamless with some of her abilities, because they want her to be more viable, instead of just being just a starter frame with no sort of hook of her own as such. But the guides themselves are meant to be more instructive, where if you want to know about a certain frame, you can just go to said video, check out the frame, see if it's something you want to work for, etc. Including, I have the resources for it as well, such as the website where you can look up the Warframe itself and have a more, the website itself describes the abilities much better than my guides have, but that's more from my personal experience, because playing Steel Path is not viable at all. That's like having it's like having a college professor explain certain things, explain certain, mechanics to first graders. It's not going to work. The first graders will have a hard time understanding unless you teach them from the ground up and work your way up slowly. That's what I like to do. I like to give you the information, and I like you to apply that information slowly, and slowly make your way up, 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 and up, until you can understand what you need to do and to understand certain things. Same thing I do with the mod descriptions. With the mods, there's certain things that mods can do for certain warframes, and there's certain things that can be done if you understand what the mods do, and whether or not this is something that you see yourself applying to certain warframes. But overall, my general experience is to help you understand and to help you get by some of the more, I'd say, difficult mechanics behind the game itself. Because the game isn't difficult, but if you understand 3 of the core mechanics in the game, it's a lot easier to understand, and it's a lot easier to approach it. But that's what I try to do. Well, that's what I do. I want you to see the problem. I want you to understand some of the more, details about it, but I want you to also try it out for yourself. although I'm not too much of a fan of hand holding, I want to hold your hand as far as I can before you try to do much more on your own. That's the entire thing that I want to explain. When people go to certain videos, but they don't read video descriptions, but they assume right off the top, pretty much right off the bat, you're not really telling anybody. You're not really understanding what's going on. You're just understanding what you know and what you understand, and because somebody else is explaining it and you're not explaining it, it's more or less you're discrediting the person for zero reason, all because you failed to do one small matter, which is read the video description. So the point I'm trying to make is that before assuming, understand the facts first. Understand what's going on, understand what's being conveyed, and understand the general conception of what you should be doing and what you should be trying to figure out. Which brings me to my next point, that I begin to understand why some people say or do certain things to try and trigger people, which people try to do all the time. I mean, I had some people on my videos comment that I'm trash, or, oh, if it ain't under steel path, it doesn't count. I'm like, I just say to myself, I just take a deep breath, and I just think to myself that these people didn't read the video description. It's that simple. And it's surprising that so much saying that so much hate and so much, so much of a so much of something so stupid can be cured with just one simple thing, but people are afraid to do that one step. That's why whenever I view videos or whenever I watch certain content, if there's something going on in the video, I read the video description first. Because you see a lot of people always say, read the video description first before commenting. All that shows is that you don't pay attention to detail and you don't try to understand what the video is all about. I had a few people comment on my Warframe 20-minute survival video saying, this doesn't count because your videos isn't in steel path, or this is a soft flex. Anybody can do, a survival and stuff." I was like, that's great, but you missed the whole point. But even when you, but the thing I'm trying to say is, even if you respond to them and they don't respond back, that's just them wanting to trigger you. And the only thing I'll do is I'll just delete the comment and just move it along. You're not contributing anything good. The best you did was give me a view and a comment on my video. You done nothing negative there except say something stupid and then moved it along. I can just delete the comment and just move it along. All you did was give me a view. So technically the person who had the last laugh was me, because out of everybody on the platform, out of everybody on YouTube, you decided, oh, I'm going to drop it on this person. I'm just going to tell him, he sucks. I'm like, every single video out there, you can look up. You can video search Warframe Steel Path. It doesn't matter which order you put the description in. If you look the stuff up right then and there like that, you can find other videos with content like that. But that's why I say, people like that waste their time. I'm just going to focus on the positive. And I'm happy that people were able to critique some of my videos and let me know some of the stuff I can work on. Like, one of the things I've done recently, and I did apply this because one of my viewers actually did tell me that they appreciate the work that I put into my video, but I felt like I was stumbling over my words. But that's mostly due to, it's difficult for me to play and describe certain things. But over time, I began to understand more and more that, I should have a script. And at that time, I did what I did. And I applied the script idea which that person did, and if you are out there, I thank you for that, because I didn't even know how to approach it. So I began doing scripts and such for the videos based on what I do, and it made it a lot more seamless. On top of that, I've been focusing more on combining the edits with my video descriptions to help myself, much more easier. And that's how I began to develop my sort of my 3-day process to, videos and such. Because in case anybody didn't know, I do work a full-time job at, at a company. So naturally, if I work, a full-time position, that means I'm either working early in the morning to late at night, or I'm working, early in the morning to mid-afternoon, or I'm working early afternoon to late night, which lets me focus more on how I should approach it and how I should, make sure that when I do content, I'm doing it in a more comfortable manner, that I'm not burning myself out, constantly. And quite frankly, if I was doing more with my content and I was, making a living from content creation full time, I'll be able to put more effort into my videos, and I'll be able to put more effort into bringing more content out on a more regular basis. If anything, I would try to bring out at least, if I was on a full time content creator basis, I would probably bring videos out at least. I would probably do at least 3 uploads a week, depending on how certain things are. Mostly because, some things may happen IRL and I need to attend to that. But I want to focus more on bringing more content out and being more proactive in the content community. But overall, I begin to understand my limitations and how to do certain things so that it becomes much easier to bring out content, and it's much easier to understand critique. Which right now, I can handle critique. In the past, it was more my ego taking center stage. Well, not necessarily my ego. I've been trying to, tie down my ego. But at the same time, if I tie down my ego, it feels like I'm not really learning anything. I'm just taking everything at face value, and I'm not really taking what I feel is necessary to become better at what I do. But over time, I began to understand many things about content creation, and I began to understand many things about what I can do and my limits. One thing I did learn about, and this person did post this, it was an email from Snoopy, and he explained in the email itself why he doesn't like networking. But I began to understand. It began to seep in some time ago about why content creation, why networking is sort of subjective based on certain aspects. But I began to this email happened about last year. I think late last year, around November, December, and it wasn't until around that time, just about 1 month after that email went out. I know at first my ego kind of went there, but it didn't really. But I began to slowly understand why. And the reason why is because I began to understand why he doesn't like networking. And I'm about to explain why I don't like networking like that. And the things about networking that people don't understand is that, and a lot of people may not like this, but networking as a word and as an option is basically a trap. The reason why I say it's a trap, because a lot of people like to say, oh, networking is a thing that you connect with other creators, or, this is like, collaborating with people like that. But the problem is people don't truly understand the definition of networking. They more or less think it's they think of it in a singular way, like it's it's just a way to meet other people or try to get to know other people, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with that. But people take networking out of context to a point where people don't actually mean networking. But I want to get back to why I think networking is a trap. A lot of groups on social media, and a lot of groups in different types of, streaming groups don't understand the term networking. They just use it as a blanket term to try and falsely grow a community without actually putting in the work to really getting to know people. And yes, getting to know people does take time. It does take a while. But over time, you'll understand why networking is a trap term in certain things. I know many people may not agree, and many people may think that it's just some that's just because I'm not doing it right. But when you think about it, how many groups out there have networking in their titles but don't do anything network related? I joined a group a long time ago, and I actually talked about this in the Pipeline Discord. And oh, by the way, if you guys haven't joined the Pipeline Discord, be sure to join. There's a bunch of decent people there, which is Harold by Stone Mountain 64. And if anybody didn't know who he is, he's best known as, the commanding officer or the CEO. You basically know him as that. That's basically his group that helps content creators get on their feet, understand some of the more core concepts, everything from legal advice to first starting out, how to use social media. We also do different events and stuff called Pipeline Brawls, where we play different games and we tally up scores to see who would win and stuff like that. I mean, I haven't participated in a brawl at all because most of the brawl games are games that I don't play, like Warzone, Fortnite, games like that, PUBG. Basically, any game that is either battle royale related or something else. I mean, I haven't really paid attention to any of those other ones. But anyway, back to what I was saying before. There was a group that I joined that was a Twitch. Yeah, it was a yeah. This was back when I was on Twitch. It was a Twitch networking group as such, and I thought it would be good to try and put myself out there to see if anybody wanted to play a specific game. And to my shock, these guys took my post down all because they said it wasn't Twitch related. And I had to ask myself, what do you mean Twitch related? Isn't this a Twitch and networking group? I asked them, why would they take my post down? I mean, why does my post not have anything to do with Twitch and stuff? He said, oh, you answered your own question. I'm like, I didn't. The moment that person said that, it was a mod in the group. The moment that person said that, I was like, no, I'm not dealing with that. I immediately left the group. I didn't say, I'm leaving this group because y'all guys are a bunch of phonies or you guys are a bunch of, has-beens, liars. No, I didn't do any of that. I just left the group. I was just disgusted with how they did stuff like that. It was from that point forward I said to myself, people just want to put networking in their group just because they want people to join the group, but there hasn't been any networking. And the reason why I believe networking isn't done is because I seen groups that have networking in their title, but all they did was put clips. I mean, I don't mind clips and stuff, but I seen more clips, more videos than actual people wanting to play certain games. I mean, it's strange that people can make a networking group, but they don't understand the term itself. That's why I believe that when people use the term networking, they're not using they're not using it in a more inviting manner. They're just using it as a blanket term to get people to join a group that makes no sense. I mean, there was times I tried to network, I tried to, tell these guys if anybody up for stuff like this. I got no responses at all. None. Zero. It isn't from me, it isn't from my lack of trying. It's more or less not everybody plays the exact same thing because 99% of the people that I know play games I don't play. And I guarantee you, if I unfollowed everybody that doesn't play any game I play, I would have a really, 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 really small list. I guarantee you, I wouldn't be in any Discords. I wouldn't be in any groups. I would probably be, I more than likely be a solo gig. I'd probably only be in group Discords that I met back during the days of Mixer, formerly Beam. But that's the problem that a lot of these people don't really understand. A lot of stuff that goes on just doesn't make any sense, that people can be so narrow-minded with what they want to achieve, but they don't really play into what they want to achieve. I believe I had a talk with a couple of guys from the Discord as well. I had a talk with Batch Gaming, and I think his name was Real Rel. I mean his name is spelled Raal, and if you're watching this or if you see this VOD at some point, I apologize if I'm not saying your name correctly. I completely forgot to ask your name when we was talking yesterday in the pipeline community chat. But yeah, I had a talk with them, and we began explaining different stuff about what type of content we want to create and what type of stuff we want to do. Believe it or not, this is the type of stuff that makes it easier to communicate with people and to make it much easier, because the reason people have a harder time networking, have a harder time doing certain things, is because a lack of response or a lack of initiative to want to network. I mean, there were times I tried to, but it was more like it's difficult to network when you don't get a response, or when you want to chat with people. Like I always say, what's good, y'all? How's it going? How's it going in, such and such group, or how's it going on in here? I try to be more, what's happening, how's it going? I try to open conversations with them to see exactly if they're going to, talk for a bit, or if they're just going to, say hi, how's it going, and then just leave or something like that. Basically, it would be like going into like a McDonald's, ordering what you need to order, and then just splitting. Basically like that. You order what you need to order, you sit back, wait for it to be done, then you just split. It's basically like that. But the thing I believe people do need to learn from is that not every is that everybody, well, not everybody don't have ulterior motives when they want to get to know people or when they want to do certain things. I pretty much went through school like that, with people assuming that they know what I'm going to do, or they assume I'm of a certain type of person when in actuality I'm not. I tend to call those people sheep because they don't see for themselves what is going on, or they don't see from this person's point of view, and they think that, oh, this person is exactly the same way it is, but they don't really pay attention to what exactly is going on, and they easily get goaded into singling this person out because of a few things that happened before, but they're not making a decision for themselves. That's how it is for when you try to network with people. People don't understand fully what the person is doing, or what is going on, or why they're trying to reach out. And the best thing to do is to ask. People fail to do that, and then they wonder why they can't grow. It's because you're not doing the most basic thing. I mean, yeah, I can understand to do the same thing too, and I can, slowly making strides towards stuff like that. And as a content creator, it's difficult for me to, really put myself out there as a person, because in a world where people will believe anything anybody else say without even putting in the work themselves to understand it, makes it difficult for us to grow as a whole. Especially when you don't mean any harm and people immediately start thinking stuff like this. Basically, the online world is kind of like a division of. It's like dividing ourselves into different cliques. Like you got jocks who play, sports games. You got, you got jocks who play sports games and stuff. You got, hype guys or anything like that play battle royale games. They be screaming at the top of their lungs. You don't know how they can keep their energy. You got guys who play. You got guys who play mechanically difficult games like League of Legends and stuff, because it requires a lot of information gathering and paying attention to everything on screen and figuring out where everything is and such. And then there are the people who are in between, who don't fit into those type of categories. But over time, you begin to understand that not everybody has the same mentality that everybody else does. And to me, it feels like networking is difficult because in reality, people don't want to network. Like the one unpopular kid, don't nobody want to get to know, because they feel if that person gets close to them, they're going to be unpopular. They're not going to grow at the rate they want to go to. And anybody who has a sort of, understanding of what's happening makes it easier to understand what's going on and what happens. Let me see. Hmm. I'm just checking a few things right now. All right. And I'm just doing a few things and whatnot. Mm, yeah, that's all I wanted to do. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to do. But over time, I do believe people do need to understand some concepts about how to, put themselves out there. But I do understand that there's a natural fear of putting yourself out there and then just people ignoring you like you're another beggar on the street and stuff like that. But it does get to a point where you do understand some stuff that happens and some stuff that can make things a lot easier. But the one thing I do want people to understand is that the primary reason I don't like networking is because people take it out of context, but people don't really fully understand how networking works, and it becomes just more difficult to really understand why some people don't do certain things, or why some people, when they don't get the response they want, they start acting out of term. Basically, they act like little kids wanting to do certain things, or they don't understand why they can't do certain things, or why some things aren't happening for them. It's mostly because you lack the actual, you know, you lack. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that you want people to help you, but you don't want to help anybody else. Or it's the other way around. You help this person, but you expect them to help you. And that's not how things work. The way it works is that you have to be more forthcoming and more transparent in your intentions to what you want to achieve, instead of just believing that you've done this favor for this person, so they owe you a favor, so they got to do this and everything. And it doesn't work like that. You got to be more open in your intentions, and you got to be more open to helping people and doing certain things. Like, there are times I do help people. I mean, it could be just a random person I would like. I would react to certain things. I would share stuff like that. Even if it's somebody who plays a game I don't play, I still just do what I do. But overall, I would say that the best thing to do is to understand your limits and understand what type of, how much of your time you need to put your focus on, and whether or not, if you can do what you set out to do, and fully understand if you're doing this for any particular reason outside of yourself. But in a nutshell, networking is subjective. I mean, I don't mind networking. I just don't like it taken out of context, and I don't like it being used as a bait to getting people to joining different groups, because I pretty much cut all ties with every group that I join, especially when it comes to doing certain things in said group, especially when they don't follow their own rules, where you try to network, but then they tell you, you know, your post or your comment doesn't, your comment doesn't isn't isn't is against the group rules and stuff. And I'm more like, yeah, I just couldn't do it. I let them enjoy their little time on the hill, but that hill will soon just collapse in on itself. I just left the group. I just left that group. I did join, some other groups, but those groups were more or less groups that I would join for Warframe. I mean, I have two groups that I joined for Warframe. I mean, one of them is just a regular, group for posting different stuff, posting, videos or photos playing the game, stuff for Fashion Frame. And another group I'm in is more or less Warframe University, where I explain some of the more critical gaming mechanics in the game, such as the different types of, such as the different types of missions. I explain the different warframes. I explain the different damage types. I just basically what I'm doing on YouTube. I do what I do in Warframe University, but in a more text fashion. But overall, the idea for me and the content that I create is to help other people. But for my Guilded server, it's not just a networking group. It's more or less a place you can meet other players, well, meet other people for the different games. I mean, right now there's only 2 games that I have there, and these are both games that I actually like playing, which is Warframe, and one other game, which is No Man's Sky, which I played for a while. But it actually reminds me, I haven't uploaded the video, but I have been doing another video. Well, I have been wanting to start another series, which is called No Man's Sky Adventures, and this is where I actually start from the start and I work my way up to well, basically it's just me just going through the entire galaxy, just doing whatever comes to my mind. If I feel like going to the center of the galaxy, I'll go there. If I feel like, starting a farm, I can do that. I can, do my whole farming gig. If I'm doing something else, such as, bounty hunting, I could do stuff like that. But I guess I want No Man's Sky Adventures to be more episodic instead of it just being just a sort of video upload sort of thing that I just happen to have an idea of. I like to have it more episodic. If anything, and if I did do it, I would probably have it be more, I'd say 5 videos a month, depending on a weekly basis. Kind of like how new, kind of like how the last, kind of like how every sitcom or every sort of series on the movie channels, like right now, The Last of Us. I think I watched the first couple episodes of The Last of Us, which is actually pretty good. I never played the video game, but I like the series. I watched, I think, the first 3 episodes, maybe 4. The first 4 episodes of that. I did watch Ash vs. the Evil Dead. I watched that series, which is actually good too. And I haven't watched any other series lately, but overall, I try to have my series more like that. Like, I try to release it in a way where if people do watch the series, they can watch it, in a more they can watch it in bits, or they can watch it, as one whole season, so to speak. And I also like to release it on a day where it's easier to view it and not be disturbed, which is on a weekend, which is actually good because the weekend, day to relax, a day to watch content, which I like to do all the time. And it helps a whole lot, as I do like to focus more on episodic content to help, give myself more time and to slowly generate content and give myself more ideas. Which is where I got my 20-minute survival series from, where when I first started it, I released it every Friday, which was a new war frame every week. And I did it for most of the I did it for I say most of 2000. Yeah, I did it for most of 2021, and I finished it around the same time into 2022 in 22, which is around, I believe, May or June, which is actually, I believe, June or July was when I first started doing the series. I kind of fell back off of it for a bit because there were some warframes I did, and there was some I had to really do a tally on which warframes I've done, because we're up to 52 warframes currently right now, with Varuna and Citrine being released this year. So the type of content that I want to create, I like to create it in a fashion that it gives me more time on my days off to show and to give myself, more ideas on what I need to focus on and whether or not I can do what I can do or if I can spin a new idea. That's also where I got my idea for the Cougar Lich and Sister Hunt. I just began recording the hunts as a whole from start to finish because I couldn't do it back. I couldn't do it a long time ago when I first started because it would be time consuming. It would take far too long, and the videos would be extremely long. And the only way I would cut it down is only if I only went for the actual encounters with them, which will only be a total of 5 encounters for the first time. On top of that, I want to make sure I farm enough of the Requiem relics and get enough of the Requiem mods so that when I do fight them, I'm not going back and forth or trying to combine different types of, mods, Requiem mods, and hoping, that RNG is on my side and I actually get what I need to get from it. But over time, I began to learn to do a lot of the stuff offline to get ready to record for the online stuff. But I should explain. Well, I did say a little while ago that I have a 3-day process in how I normally do videos and how I push out content. And I don't think I explained this I think I explained this to a few people, but I don't think really anybody actually got the picture for it. But I think a few people that I did explain this for actually did give them a good idea, especially if you have a job and it's a lot easier. So my 3-day process is usually on my days off. So whenever I work a certain amount of time, I would have certain days off during the week. And during those days off, I would create videos depending on what type of content I want to create. For the first day, I just record video. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I would just record video for if I'm playing Warframe. I would just do just a regular run of me playing Warframe in its entirety. It would usually be around maybe 2 hours worth of content, which I can cut down into bits. That way I can take what content I feel is good and I can apply that to my video, which is actually pretty good because I actually have 2 hours worth of content that I can break down. I could break down maybe for one video, I could probably do, depending on the type of video I do, I could do 3 or 4 clips. And that's about 30 minutes of, that could be anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes of video content that I already have. So altogether for 2 hours, that would be several videos worth of content that I could do. I could do about maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 videos with just that alone. And if I want, I could probably stretch it to 10 if I want to. But that's only if I do certain video content. Well, the second thing I do is I take all day. Well, I use my second day off to edit. I do nothing but edit. The reason I do this is to limit my distractions with certain things that I would do, such as if I feel like playing a certain game, I kind of put it as a reward for me playing the game. After I finish editing my videos and splicing them and putting them in my finished clip folder and stuff like that, I would just after I finish rendering them, I will put that in the finished section in my on my external. And anything else I do, I would just put all that there. I won't worry about it until much later. And afterwards, I would, any of my clips that I've already done that I finished, well, not that I finished, that I already recorded on, that already has been uploaded and recorded and done everything, I will put that in my clip folder. That way I don't, overlap certain stuff. Like I don't wind up uploading, my rough clips of my videos and put them on YouTube, and it's like I got 2 hours worth of content that's uploaded to YouTube, and that's just all 2 hours worth of content that I could have chopped down to maybe half of that time or a quarter of the time, or maybe 1/8 of the time. So day 2 for me is editing, just editing, nothing else. My third day off would be just for uploading to different medias. The one thing I do, and I use this to my advantage, is I try to schedule some of my content in advance so that when I do schedule the stuff, it gives me a longer buffer window so I can edit more content and I can spread out more of my posts so I'm not scrambling to upload, scrambling to, record and, edit and do all this stuff all at once, which is actually pretty messed up if you try to do everything all at once. So I try to be more productive with what I do, and it makes it a lot easier. So when I do certain things, I'm giving myself more time and I'm giving myself a much larger buffer so I can, future proof any video ideas ahead of time. And that's usually where my 3-day process ends, and then I start over again for my next wave of content. This is why as time went on and while a whole bunch of stuff was happening, these past few weeks, I've been focusing mostly on just recording video content, having it just, renaming all my content, putting titles on all of them, making sure I edit as much as I can, chop down as much content as I can, upload it, and do all this other stuff. It makes it a lot easier. And it's much better to do that, as it's just, you would have more time for yourself. And I know sometimes it does get lazy for me sometimes, but I try to be more realistic in my approach, because again, I work a job up till closing, and sometimes I may open, which is, rare on occasion, but I mostly close. So when stuff like that happens, that gives me more time on my days off. So when I do put focus on, I just say to myself, this day I'm just going to just record anything, and this day I'm going to, edit, and then this day I'm going to, I'll get all my information and stuff together, and then I'm going to just upload everything all at once. And that's what I actually done, and it actually worked a lot better for me. But my way of doing certain things may not work for everybody else, but it does help to have a plan ahead of time and to understand what could work and what could make things a whole lot easier. So you want to make sure you're giving yourself enough time to do certain things, and you don't feel like you're not putting out enough content or you're not being consistent enough. But that's where I focus on making sure the type of I actually like to focus on one type of content of what I do. That way I'm not overlapping different types of content. Like, I got my No Man's Sky Adventures content I'm recording it this day, but then I turn around and I might record, a completely different thing. Like, I might start recording, maybe Rocket League content, or I might go back to playing Warframe and start doing more Kuva Lich hunts and sister hunts, stuff like that. Or I may wind up doing content for, I don't know, like again, Rocket League or something like that. Like doing, my climb to, Diamond, or I may wind up doing other content. Like, I might start playing Splatoon 3 and stuff. I like to keep my stuff separate, and I like to keep my stuff, organized. I focus mostly on one game over another, so it gives me more ideas. I may play another game, and it may give me ideas for that game, or the previous game, like Warframe, may give me ideas for doing a tutorial for another game, like No Man's Sky. I thought about doing a tutorial for No Man's Sky, but because No Man's Sky is such a dense game, it's best to learn as time goes on, and it's best to understand what certain things you have access to, and it makes it a lot easier. So when you do certain things, you can get things out in a more consistent manner and not have to worry about, stagnating. Anyway, last month in the Pipeline Discord, we had this thing called the 28 Days of Shorts. The whole plan behind the 28 Days of Shorts is to create a short for each day of the month in February, which is a total of 28 shorts that we would make over the course of our content uploads. The 28 Days of Shorts was supposed to, it is a sort of challenge that challenged us to upload one short a day to YouTube, or yeah, pretty much one short a day to YouTube, which actually is pretty good. And I did upload 28 shorts. Although the most of them are Warframe related, other ones I have was for I believe Hi-Fi Rush and Killing Floor 2. Excuse me. But most of them were just for Warframe, which is actually good, and I liked it. And that's mostly because I've been mostly focusing on Warframe content, as I feel more comfortable playing that. But I do want to focus more on other types of content, which is why I say I wanted to start No Man's Sky, my No Man's Sky adventures, which is supposed to be more or less my first real commentary. Like, yeah, it's one of my first commentary videos that I've done as I play the game and do certain things. I did think of, yeah, I am going to continue doing the No Man's Sky adventures. I will probably do maybe 5 episodes to see how well it would be received, and then I would do more to see if it would, work. And because of that, I want to focus more on, I might focus on doing, shorts as well as doing, video content, as I want to, churn out content, but I don't want to overwhelm people over time. That's why during certain times, if I do play Warframe, I'll clip some of my more funny moments or certain things that may happen. Like one of the videos that I have was on the algorithm was of me playing Destiny 2 with my friend, and that was when we first got the brand new power, which is Strand, and I began doing certain things, and I began fighting against the Cabal. But naturally, when I fell down, I kind of bounced slid into, I bounced slid into the middle of the street, but then one of the tanks crashed on me and kind of punted me all the way across the map somewhere, where I actually went straight off, and I had to revive myself, which was, I mean, personally it was really funny because I didn't think I was going to be able to do that. As a matter of fact, I did do a few videos, a few shorts for Destiny as well. And I began to focus more on, content outside of Warframe, but it was mostly I'd say 90% of my content in February was Warframe, but I guess you could say over time I began to learn more and more about what type of content I want to bring out, if it's something I would, do on a regular basis, if my content is kind of, stagnating and such. But surprisingly enough, I did manage to pick up a few more subs and a ton of watch time for my videos. Well, a bunch of views, which is actually amazing because over time I began to do more, and I began to be more proactive and understand that although my content isn't for everybody, there's always going to be people that will judge you on your content as such. But I have been focusing more on doing right for me, so that when I do my content, it's a lot easier for me to pay attention and do certain things. Let me see something real quick. Oh yeah, I gotta still ask. Yeah, yeah. Not now. I remember what I gotta do. I gotta talk to Miss Henley about the whole thing with yeah. I gotta talk to her about adding me to the list for YouTube, but I think she mostly did it for Twitch, because I'm not on Twitch no more, so my profile won't show up on there anymore. But yeah, we had the whole 28 days of shorts, and I've actually seen I had nothing but increases the entire time. But I guess in reality, I don't mind doing short form content, but I feel like my expertise is more, more medium to long form content because I like my videos to be, long enough to where, you can see what's going on and you can, watch it over the course of the you can watch my content over the course of the time that you have. Like if you want to wait for, if you watch my content, you can watch it until the newest episode of The Last of Us comes on, or maybe you wanted to watch a little bit of it, and you might want to save it for later, and then you can watch it after you watch a specific episode of your favorite TV show and whatnot. I like my content to be more as a placeholder or an in between for certain stuff. That way, you can watch certain things and then you can watch your actual program, or you can watch the program while paying attention to certain stuff. Oh, we got double affinity all weekend. That's good. Yeah, and that basically means I'm going to be playing more Warframe, and I was going to be doing a lot more stuff for that. Yeah, because we got the do very paradox dropping next month. We got that dropping next month. We got two Gift of the Lotus missions right now. One for the Orokin Catalyst and an Orokin Cell. I mean, not an Orokin Catalyst and an Orokin Cell. Orokin Catalyst and an Orokin Reactor. So we got both of those, and I was going to get both of those. I got one of them. I didn't get the other. I think I did get the other. No. I got one of them. I didn't get the other because I forgot I was helping my family out with a few things. But yeah, it was a real eye-opening experience to try the 28 days of shorts, as it was something that I don't normally do, and I don't mind short form content because it's more or less exactly what it is, which is short form, which I feel is all right. And I began to understand the draw to short form content and how people can monetize the short form content, which also gets me to, see my content in a different light and not just as a form of long form content. As I'm usually the kind of person who would try and see if it's something that I would do on a regular basis. If it's something that I can do and I would try to do it, I would, fit it into my schedule so that when I do try it out, it's something that I can fall back on. But it was a really eye-opening experience, and it does help that you can do more than just stand up for my content. But anyway, we did the whole challenge of the 28 days of shorts. I mean, I can do the challenge next month where I challenge myself to do if anything, if I did challenge myself, I would probably do I don't know what I would do. I would probably try something different. I would probably play one game I would probably record one game during a specific month, and I would, put Warframe on the back burner. I would say when the Duviri Paradox come out, after I finish the Duviri Paradox, then I'm going to put Warframe on the back burner for a bit and kind of cease content on that, which is also kind of an update because I told myself I was going to do more content for other games and not just Warframe, as I want to make sure that I'm not overlapping content with what I already got, and I want to, expand more on the type of content that I have. So if I do more content, chances are I'm probably going to do more Rocket League content, maybe some Roller Champion content, but I do want to focus more on I do want to focus more on No Man's Sky and various other games as well. And I may focus on doing some more Phantasy Star Online too, which I actually like. I just haven't played it in a while because, I've been focusing on Warframe, so I gotta tear myself away from that for a bit. So I say during the month of April, I say the month of April is probably gonna be when I'm gonna, slow down content for Warframe after the Duviri Paradox. and then I'm going to start focusing more on the other games. That way, I'm not just focusing on Warframe. But if there is another Warframe that releases, sometime this year, if it does release this year, I would, put focus on that. I would focus more on the different types of things that I need to get for it, everything like that. But yeah. And this month, we call it the March Content Madness, which is the first week we plan out what type of content we're going to do. Well, the first week is the type of content that we're going to do. This could be anything, like if we do, like for example, if we do content for, Warzone or something like that, we would do content for something else. Like somebody may do content for Tarkov, or somebody may do content for, again, Rocket League, or somebody may do content mostly for League of Legends, or they will do mostly, shorts or stuff like that, or they may try to upload to a new, or they might try something different or something new. Like right now, for me, I'm trying out, just chatting to see how well it would be received, especially considering that I never did a just chatting stream. I mean, technically I did, but it wasn't a just chatting stream. It was more or less a it was more or less a stream that I've done that was mostly geared towards, the differences between content creation and a retail job. And I mean, I'd done that, but that technically wasn't a just chatting video. It was more or less a video in response to how difficult it is for us as content creators to create content while also working a 9 to 5 job. As we always wake up in the morning, we go to work, we come back, we're dead tired, we don't feel like doing anything. We just don't feel like playing anything at all. And it's basically like that. And for me, doing just chatting content is something that I never did before, and it's something that I want to try, but I also want to try it with other people as a way to, really get an idea on other people's opinions on certain things, or taking a leap to doing certain stuff, such as, going full time content creation, or, if you're trying to find certain ways to make it happen for you, or making the leap from one platform to another, stuff like that. So this week is pretty much putting into perspective what I'm doing and what type of shakeups I could do. As again, I never do, I usually am never on screen unless I'm streaming in its entirety. So if I do stream, that's the only time you'll ever see my video on anything. But I do a bunch of stuff that since I mostly do offline content and not enough streaming content, that's mostly due to I want to, build myself up. I want to build my brand, and I want to build, myself as a I want to build myself as more of a content creator that, I would like to be, as a as I feel there's some content that people can benefit from. Some content does need to be more simplified and easier to understand. Basically, I don't like my content to be long-winded. I like it to get to the point. That's also why I've redone my whole 101 series. As again, the user said that I would do better with a script, which I did. And so I did it with that, and I pre-recorded my content, and I began to splice it into one of my videos. I began to use my, I began to, you know, use my scripted voice into my content as a way to help people understand certain aspects of the game, so that it's a lot easier to digest and you don't feel like you're falling asleep or you're listening to a long lecture from a teacher. That's how it works. Well, at least that's how I like to do the content, and it actually works great for me. But yeah, so yeah, this content, the March content madness. The first week was to, plan out what type of content you're gonna do. The second week is putting it into action, which means that I'm doing more just chatting content. I mean, I meant to do a just chatting thing on Monday, but it didn't really feel. I didn't really feel to doing it, but I know that probably could be me being lazy. And today I almost felt like I didn't want to do it, but I just decided to do it anyway as a way to, do certain things and make certain things happen. So when I do it, I can say that I have done so. So I'd say the next time I would do just chatting content again, I might do it tomorrow or I might do it Saturday. But I work both tomorrow and Friday, so Saturday will probably be the earliest I would be able to do so. Because again, I work at night. I work from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. that night, so I'm going to be swamped pretty much all day long. So when I get home, I'm going to be dead tired. But yeah, the next time I would do just chatting content would be on Saturday. And the week after, they would have we would have a review to see how well that type of content is doing and how well certain things, could work. So after I do my 2 videos of just chatting, I would check it out to see how well it would do, see if it's something that I could, I could push out more. But in reality, I want the just chatting content to be more about getting to know each other and getting to know the person in its entirety. And I'm not going to put myself out there just yet unless it's on a need to know basis if people want to know certain things. But outside of what went on in my life the past 6 months or so, the past 5.5, 6 months was more eye opening for me, and it made me, be more conscious of what type of content I'm doing. And I don't have to be, strict in what I do. I could be flexible. And I believe the fourth week would be the week where we would have the discussion on how well the content did, what type of things we should focus on to make it better, how we should be pushing out our content, if it's something that we can probably do on a regular basis. But again, I usually try to hold off on just chatting streams as I still don't have a big enough following to really do so. As for me, I actually encourage people to get to know others. I encourage people to ask, questions within reason, by the way, to let people know more about what's going on or what type of stuff people want to do or what type of things people are working on, what type of other stuff, works, stuff like that. But in its entirety, I like to make sure that people feel comfortable. They don't feel judged or they don't feel like they need to impress somebody to do certain things. But overall, it makes for a pretty interesting concept as you get to see whether or not you can pull it off, or if it's something that you would probably have on the back burner, or something that you would probably wait a bit longer to do. But overall, for me as a person, I would probably wait to do just chatting content. Well, I would wait to do just chatting content, as it's not something that I could see myself doing on a regular basis, or if it's something that I could see myself doing in its entirety. As I did try to, because at first, well, a long time ago, I did try to multi-stream to different platforms, but it didn't really pan out as well as it would, and it kind of put more stress on me than it normally would. And I just want to make sure that when I do certain pieces of content, it's something that I can do, and it's something that I can take pride in doing what I do. But I would say overall, I have been getting some pretty favorable responses from my videos and certain things. I may have had the occasional, loser who kept saying, "Oh, you just suck," or "Oh, you guys are slow," or "Oh, if you don't do this way, it doesn't even count." And I'm like, yeah, there's always going to be people that rock the boat. There's always going to be people that want to take you to places that you don't want to go. And the best thing I can say is to not go there, because these people have nothing else better to do with their lives, and overall, they just want to get a rise out of you. They want you to talk about them, or they want you to give them attention, which isn't even worth it. And I learned over time that content creation is actually one of the most flexible things you can do in your entire life. You can pivot from certain things. You don't have to stick to one thing in order to be successful. You can pivot to other stuff. Because there's always an audience for everyone. And not everyone has the same mentality as the next person does. But in its entirety, it makes sense to really understand what type of content you want to put out, what type of content you feel people need to do, and whether or not the type of content you want to put out is the type of content that you would like. That's why I like doing Warframe content. I mostly do Warframe content because I feel comfortable doing Warframe because I understand the mechanics in the game. I feel more confident in myself playing the game, and I feel as though playing the game in its entirety and understanding a lot of the core concepts makes it much easier for me to do certain things. That's why when I play Warframe or when I explain certain mechanics, I'm more confident in how I approach it. I've done a bunch of research in the game. I've done a whole bunch of stuff in the game that I know everything inside and out. I know there are people who watch skill-based gameplay, but I'm not a skill-based player. I'm more or less a mentor. I want to guide you enough, and I said this earlier in the video. I want to guide you as far as I can, but I also want you to find your own path into how you approach certain games. Like, I don't want to tell you to do this way or do that way, or oh, you're not doing this right, or I don't do any of that. What I want to do is to let you know that you do this like this. I want to see how you approach the situation, and I want to see how you adapt to the situation. Like when I first started playing Warframe, I didn't understand a lot of I understood that it's a third-person action-style shooter game, but I didn't know that it was more of a technical style game that has shooter mechanics in it. It's not as technical as battle royale games where you got guns with different ranges, bullet drop, different attachments that can make your gun behave different ways. But in Warframe, different guns have different behaviors, and because of these different behaviors, different mods can be used in certain ways. But there are certain mods that won't work on certain weapons, even if you do add certain things. So the concept behind that is understanding your limits on the game and understanding the limits of the weapons that you use, including the warframes. You don't want to go through the game and then understand that the one thing that you want to do, you can't do because the mechanics tell you can't do it. That's the type of concept I want people to understand. That it isn't that you don't understand, or it isn't that the game is hard or difficult to understand. It's because you understand the mechanics, you're just going about it the wrong way. But that's how I want to be. That's the type of approach I want to make sure that people understand. I don't want to leave people out to dry. I don't want to leave people to not understand what's going on. I want people to, find their own path, not feel like I'm hand holding you, not any of that other stuff. But overall, I just want to see what I'm capable of and how well my imagination works, especially when doing content. It's not bad to do your own thing, and it's not bad to pivot from certain things. Yeah, some stuff may not work. Yeah, some stuff may be a flop, but over time, it may work. I didn't think people would like my Luminance videos, and it turns out they actually like them. And they're some of my most viewed videos I have on my channel. I didn't even think anybody would like it. And on occasion, I always go back and view the Luminance videos, and I seen that the videos themselves came out years ago, and I'm talking about 2010, 2011, stuff like that. People have been playing these games for a while. Nobody just haven't uploaded any of them. I seen that nobody never really uploaded any gameplay videos for Luminance, and I did it. And it was surprising that people actually liked it. People have been asking me people have been telling me that I'm great at the game, that I'm good. People are happy that they see that there's at least one other person out there that's playing the game in a way that it works for them. My stuff, yeah, they say that my videos are appealing to them. So over time, I begin to spread out and do other games as well. Turns out not a lot of people have done every Extend Extra Extreme or E4. It turns out that not a lot of people have done Pac-Man Championship Edition. Nobody has it done. Nobody has it done Galaga Legions DX. It's amazing that a lot of the stuff people haven't done, they never did, and I just took the leap to do it, and I got favorable responses from it. In a sense, that kind of encouraged me to try different routes to do certain things that I didn't think people would ever think about doing. That's exactly how I got my start. Well, actually, that kind of stuff is how I got my start doing certain video games and testing to see if I could do other video games as well. That also got me to do Child of Eden, and Child of Eden is one of my favorite games. Plus, overall, I actually like content creation. I kind of stumbled a bit when I first started. I haven't been doing a bunch of stuff that I have been doing. I haven't really been checking my sound settings. I haven't done no editing. I didn't know that I would be able to edit at all. As a matter of fact, that reminds me. When I first started editing, I thought it was going to be, difficult. Like, I got to learn a lot of technical stuff. I got to learn about, splicing different videos or adding, special, things to it. And it actually turns out that editing is simple. It just takes a lot of time to get everything that you need to get. Which is why I had my 3-day process. As I do editing, I just edit and it actually works. That's because editing takes a while, because you got to cut down your stuff, because I don't like my content to be, extra long. But even when I do cut my content down, it's still long. But again, that's more RNG based. And again, that's why some of my Warframe videos would be, an hour long. Because again, even after cutting my videos down, it's still an hour and a half and stuff. And I'm like, that actually encouraged me to, do more. Actually, it encourages me to cut my videos down much further to where I just do the encounters. But I also want to make sure that people understand that when I do encounters, they see the process that I'm taking to get up to a certain point, such as when I first create the Lich or Sister, and then I start hunting them. And I pretty much explained this at the beginning of the video again, but I don't want to go long-winded. I just want to say that I make it a point to make sure my videos are enjoyable and that they can be, people can just pick them up if need be. But again, I like my videos to be more episodic, or I like my videos to be enjoyed as one unit and as a whole. Again, like my 20-minute survival videos, they're meant to be enjoyed in a singular fashion. Like, again, if you enjoy, a certain Warframe, you can look them up, since I've done pretty much all of them. But after a while, it's really unique how to approach certain stuff. Not everybody approaches, this exact same way. And I actually found my own unique way to approach this. And because I have, it's amazing that, because I was absolutely terrified to start doing this stuff. I was terrified to do just chatting because I wouldn't have anything interesting to talk about. I would be, I would sound, boring, or I may feel like I don't even feel like being on here, or people may think that I'm just a bot just talking and stuff. But I would say that usually when I talk to people in a one-on-one manner, it's a lot easier because we can bounce ideas off of each other. We can see each other's strengths, weaknesses, what we excel at, what we can do. And I took it upon myself to be a mentor. I've seen a bunch of streamers who don't do tutorial streams where they teach certain people how to play certain things. I mean, they may ask you in the middle of certain things, but I've never seen somebody dedicated to just doing certain mechanics. As a matter of fact, one person I seen, it was a long time ago on Twitch though. This was when I was on Mixer. They was doing a breakdown for Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U and 3DS, but they was doing the one for the Wii U. They was doing a breakdown of, you know, certain mechanics and being attacked, like, directional influence, or DI as they like to call it. They was explaining how to, where to move when you get attacked in a certain area. Like, if you get attacked on the ground, if you press up, your character would, float up, and you would float away from the out of bounds zone. Or if they hit you straight up, if you press left, or if you're going straight up and this way, you have to press in the opposite direction, so you fly much further this way. I mean, not like this way, something like that, instead of just flying straight up. Because if you do, you're going to hit the blasting zone, and you're going to wind up going out. But that's what I seen. I seen people actually do stuff like that. It was actually pretty good, and I took it upon myself to do that. But overall, I would say that my content creation journey has been, well, it has its bumps, it has its highs and its lows, it has its dark elements and stuff. But overall, it's absolutely worth it, and I'm actually upset I really didn't get started sooner doing this. But again, it's mostly due to, fear, because, the internet is basically the wild west of the whole thing. But overall, I would say that I actually enjoyed content creation. I enjoy doing what I do. I enjoy making videos and whatnot. It makes a lot of sense to do certain things, and it does make a lot of sense to understand your limits and surpass your limits, which I try to do. But I think this is probably one of those moments where I'm pretty much trying to surpass myself and be better, especially doing something that I don't normally do. But yeah. But overall, I would say that I may do this again. I may talk more about, my experiences in content creation over time, and as time goes on, I'll do more by checking back and checking out some of the stuff that I've done, especially in regards to me doing certain videos and whatnot. But yeah, I think right now would be a good stopping point, as I would say right now, again, I'm exceeding my expectations, as I never thought I would be doing something like this, and it feels more, natural. And if I do intend to do a just chatting stream, especially in regards to, more about what's going on, I would definitely be open to doing it. But but I would, but right now I'm mostly focusing more on what I'm doing, and if it's something that I would, do on a regular basis, or I may mix it up outside my normal content, and I would probably do more live content as well. But yeah. Anyway, I'm going to sign off. But other than that, I just wanted to explain to you guys, what's been going on, how my content creation journey is going, if there are certain things that I can focus on, if there is certain stuff that I need, if there's certain stuff that I should pay attention to, or if it's something that I can really, take care of. But overall, I would say my time has actually been pretty decent, and I want to pay more attention to I want to pay more attention to, what I can do, the type of tools that I have available to me, and what I should be focusing on, and exceeding my expectations, especially considering what I'm doing right now. But other than that, that's it for me tonight. Appreciate you guys for stopping by. Appreciate you guys for listening to my little chat and whatnot. And I do believe the next time I'm going to be on is going to be on Saturday, because I know I'm going to be doing some more driving lessons on Sunday. I may do another Just Chatting stream on Sunday if I'm up for it. But yeah, appreciate you guys for stopping by. And if you guys haven't done so, be sure to drop in on my Gilded server down below, which is actually pretty good because I'm hopefully I can get more people into the server, and hopefully it could be something it could be the start of something great. But yeah, until then, I'll catch you guys later.